Utopian scholastic design. What the heck is that?
London has turned into a complete zoo.
Sticks and stones might break my bones, but the sticks look kind of cool.
I think it's about time for some new news.
What you think?
From Southern California's largest paint and sip studio, Spotlight with Purple Easel.
Welcome to Purple Easel Spotlight, where we put the spotlight on artists and creatives. My name's Latoya.
And I'm Meagan.
And we're both art instructors here at the world's largest paint and sip studio, Purple Easel.
Woo!
And today we're going to have art news, as we always do, and artists that we're going to talk about as well. This is literally
yes, that's the thing that we do here.
Yes, exactly. But it's a surprise to me, actually, because I don't know what you're going to be talking about.
It was a surprise to me until about halfway through it all last night. So It'll be fun. It'll be fun.
It'll be a surprise for all of us. So before we get into it, Meagan, what's going on with your life?
You know, I had to kind of rack my brain a little bit because I'm like, not a lot has happened in the last week. So I went through my camera roll and I was like, oh, here's something. So here at Purple Easel, everybody doodles all the time. And this is my first time ever working with a group of artists, being surrounded by other creative people all the time. And I'm not used to it. Like even in retail, you would occasionally get somebody who would doodle or whatever. Man, it's so funny. In fact, I just took these off the front counter because this kind of stuff will just be laying around all the time.
Oh, yeah.
Because why not? And then we have, you know, a little wolfie.
I know this one is, this one's, and that's me.
One of many portraits by Toya.
Yes.
Which I so love because you have such a style and it's so cute.
Oh, thank you.
And for the record, these are terrible to paint on.
Yes, very much so.
They absorb the paint so quickly because it's cardboard. Yeah. So, I mean,
Thank you for bringing those up.
Yeah.
Because we doodle that.
But I love it. I love it. I love coming in and finding just little bits of this and that. And I don't normally doodle. I'm not a doodler generally.
Really?
And I hate, even in my sketchbook, like I sit down and I do a piece. Gotcha. I'm not good at sketching. I wish that was something I could let loose on more. Maybe as I get older, I'll figure out how to do it. But during one of my events, we had, I think it was a private party, and they were having a lot of fun. And as they were having a lot of fun, they were taking a little while between steps. And I would go around and talk to them, but they're, you know, doing their thing, taking their shots, whatever. So I'm just kind of sitting there going, doo-doo-doo. And I've got this palette of paint that has like yellow, blue, red, and I think white and black. I don't remember what the painting was, but I'm like, all right, this kind of reminds me of Van Gogh's sunflowers. So I just pulled up an image of sunflowers and I just had some fun doodling while I was in between steps. And then on break, I stayed up there and kind of worked on it a little bit. But yeah, it was fun. And it was very loose and sketchy, which is not something I typically do. And at the end of it, it was sitting on the counter and Trinity's like, when did you make that? And I was like, well, I was teaching.
Yeah.
Like just kind of in between. And she's like, what are you going to do with it? Like, you can have it. She's like, really?
Oh,
she was so excited. This is why I don't have any of my artwork, because I give it all away. But she was like into it. So I was like, okay.
That's super cool. It's very, very nice, by the way. It's very lovely. In fact, I feel like it should be a Purple Easel painting.
I mean, I could work on that.
Yeah, totally. It's super cute. And I'm biased because yellow is my favorite color. But it's very, very beautiful. It's more sketchy than your original style, but it's still kind of your style, because your style is a little bit like loosey-goosey. Yeah. A little.
And it didn't used to be. And with drawing and stuff, it really isn't. But here with my paintings, I've kind of started to develop that slightly looser. But yeah, this was pretty freeform and just
nice,
light on the references. So it was kind of some made up flowers, but they turned out okay.
You know what? And it's really nice because I have, like from previous employees that used to work here, I have their art that they did, like their sketches as well. So when Trinity, I was like, oh my gosh, like I have a bunch of like other ones too. I have like some from Ian as well, just sketches that I thought was really cool. I'm like, you gonna throw that away, or can I have that?
I love that. I love that. Let's keep it going. Yeah. That's so cool.
Yeah.
So what is your news? What you been up to this week?
So my week was pretty low key as well. Nothing crazy happened. I made jewelry for the first time. So remember when I told you that I wanted to look like the Pope at my wedding?
Yes, I do
Well.
recall.
So I wanted to make like a belt chain situation for my dress, and I bought the materials. But okay, so I was doing it, and I'm like, I don't have the patience for this one. And two, there must be like, you know how sometimes you go on Google and you don't know what it's called, but you got to describe it. The thing that attaches the metal piece that.
Yeah.
So I'm like, I need more little loop-de-loops, and I need
jump rings, basically.
Oh, is that what
I
they're
think.
called?
I don't know.
Oh, okay.
I haven't really done this kind of jewelry much. I took a jewelry making class where we got to solder and saw and
cool.
do centrifugal force machine and wax casting.
Your high school seems pretty lit.
It was
because-
really cool. It was. I was very, very fortunate.
Yeah,
I know.
That's
I did a lot of
nothing in
things.
mine. Just drawing and painting, and
Yeah, we did all the
was it.
things.
that's pretty
I was
dope.
very lucky.
But shout out to the people who make jewelry because it's a thing. And I was like, okay, this string, I have to use string now because I don't have one of those little loop-de-loops. I do have like some that I clamped, but you know, some of the loop-de-loops don't fit in the holes. So that was my thing. And then I made more cape. Like I had more jewelries and then I embellished. Anyways, it's just more wedding stuff.
I bet if you needed something, Maddie would have it
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
without having to buy. That's the thing about jewelry. Like I went through that too with my wedding because I was looking for some like cloisonne for my rehearsal dinner to go with my plain white dress because my actual wedding dress was not plain white. So I couldn't find anything. And I was like, well, maybe I'll just make my own. But then I'm like, I don't want to buy a box of 50 of something to use 3 of them. Like, what am I going to do with this in the future? So I just scrapped that idea.
Yeah, no, that's the thing is, like, I understand why it's in bulk because I thought the same. I was like, oh, I can also make earrings out of these. But I'm also like, I only need 2. I don't need a bag of like 50
Right. Yes.
earring anyways.
I feel that. So it's turning out great.
Oh,
Looks
thanks.
beautiful.
You know, I am happy with it. So that's good.
There's
I
that.
look like the Pope, okay? All right. So we're going to get into some art news, meow. So this first thing, it's not really news. It's, in fact, I think my news in particular is very, did you know, like random facts, you know?
That's okay.
So if you didn't know what Utopian Scholastic Design is, watch our Spotlight episode on it because it covers everything. But this popped up on my Utopian Scholastic Design Facebook group.
Hey.
And it's of Charles O'Rear. And if you don't know who he is, you've seen him 1,000 billion gazillion fulfillion times just through photography. So the post reads, Charles O'Rear, the photographer who captured the iconic landscape known as Bliss, used as wallpaper for Windows XP, O'Rear took the photography in the vineyards of Napa Valley in the area of San Francisco, California, United States, and did so without digital editing in the 1990s, 1999.
That's
1996.
amazing, right?
Yes.
So vibrant, too.
It is. And in fact, this iconic wallpaper, which conveys serenity and optimism, has become one of the most viewed images in the history of computing and has inspired numerous parodies and tributes in pop culture. And he's also named like 10 top photographers of the world.
Right on.
So there's that. And I also
For
wanna-
one photo?
Yes, for one photo.
It's that
good.
iconic.
It's that good. Also, I just want to say for the record, if we could still use Windows XP today, which we technically could, I guess, I would be using it. Windows XP was my favorite Windows. I'm just saying.
I think I liked XP quite a bit, too. Yeah, it was 98 before that, right?
Yeah.
Yeah,
95,
there were a
98
lot
XP.
of advancements between those, if I recall.
So I thought we'd look at some other photography that he's done.
Oh, cool.
Which is, it's really cool. But there's such a different vibe from Bliss.
Yeah.
There's
Well, the black and white especially. But wow.
You know, one thing that he has in common, though, is all of his images look so clean.
Yeah.
Like, clean. Like, desolate clean.
Wow. Look at that moon.
Mhm.
That's crazy.
Yeah, the clouds are so crisp. Like,
Yep.
everything's just so crispy crunch. Anyways.
Yeah, no, that's super cool. I haven't really seen any of his other work, so that's exciting. I appreciate that. And it was a good little did you know.
Yeah.
It counts as news. I think I brought a book for news, so all along the same lines, right?
Yeah.
Well, in more news, our pal Banksy is making headlines again.
Again.
So many headlines. Every day Miranda's like, have you seen the newest one? And I'm like, huh?
Yeah, I noticed, like, because I follow him on Instagram, and he's ramped up. Like, I don't know, I see
Yes.
more and more. I'm like, oh. Okay.
So he did a new piece like every day for over a week straight, and they were popping up all over London. And it's so funny to me because when I was looking for this information to put on today, I was getting all these like speculations of what their different meanings might be.
Uh-huh.
But we've got, a big old rhino on top of this poor little car, which is so funny to me because the back end of this car is literally like thunk, as if the
Hey,
rhino
you're
is
right.
on it.
Oh, wow.
Right? Like it's got to
interesting.
be parked in some area where it needs to be fixed or something.
I like the monkeys.
We got some monkeys. Everybody was like, wow, what does this mean? Is this some special place to him? And I was like, it's literally just some pelicans eating the fish off the sign, which is hilarious to me. So
the fish
clever.
are on the sign. Oh.
Because it's a fish bar.
Yeah.
Why wouldn't the pelicans go there?
Somehow, like, my brain just, he's so clever.
He's so clever.
He's so clever.
And then people are talking about this one. They're like, oh, yes, it represents the perilousness of humanity. One step the wrong direction and you're through or whatever. And other people are like, it's a goat. So maybe it's because he's the goat, the greatest of all time. Maybe it's a self-congratulatory thing. And no, they're just a bunch of animals.
Yes. It's just he found a small space for that.
Yep.
So that's
Things that make sense. This one in particular with the cat was only up for a few hours before they removed it because the city was concerned somebody was going to steal it and in the process cause issues because this is kind of old and dilapidated and they didn't want to have it fall and hurt
That's
somebody.
fair.
So yeah,
And I
it
can
only
see
lasted
that.
a little tiny bit. And then it all starts to make sense when this one shows up on the outside of the zoo.
Nice. Oh, like it's got little eyes also. They're all coming out.
Yeah. And just like, I love that. It was a story, just animals popping up. It was very like Jurassic Park. They got out,
The overall theme might be, like let the animals roam free. You know how when we say like shark infested and they're like, bro, I live here. What are you talking about?
Yeah.
Infested. I live.
Right.
So I don't know. Maybe it's like to just be along with nature.
Yeah, maybe. Or that we've completely taken over their space.
Yeah.
There's a lot of commentary, really. Whoa, Banksy. I would say tell us your story, but get your people to tell us your story.
Yeah, that'd be nice. Since
cool.
since you're all for the
cool.
low key folks and we're low key around here.
Yeah, we are.
So, in other news, speaking of nature, have you ever been hiking and then found like a cool stick and that you wanted to take home?
Literally every time we go hiking.
Yeah.
That's like Talia's goal is to find the stick. And then we end up with a bunch of sticks in the back of the car and then they end up in the garage and then there's a pile of sticks in the garage and we never remember to grab the stick before we go when we go hiking again.
You guys can use it for like kindling, I guess. Or
Yes, for all the fires we have with our gas fireplace.
Well, this guy has a whole collection. Artist Martine Brinkman has had an installation and it's called My Best Gun Branches. Now, this is actually old news because this installation was like back in 2018. However, it was news to me.
Yeah.
It was going to be news to y'all. So just it being called My Best Gun Branches is just so cool. Just like look at it.
It's so good.
It is.
And I just remind me of my dad. The kid's been into making mud pies and stuff.
Okay.
And we're all like, yeah, good job. Like we want her to be outside and doing her own thing. And it's cool. But also we're like, damn, mud pies. She's like, Mommy, you want some? No, honey, thanks, I'm full. But he was like, but I did the same thing as kid. I did it. He did it. He's like, we also used to take sticks and have swords and guns and all kinds of stuff. And like, I kind of feel like that's lost a little bit. Kids don't get to go outside and play like they used to.
For sure. Yeah, that's 1000% true.
This
and I
makes me happy.
Take rocks. Rocks are more my get down.
Yes.
I've been taking rocks since I was a kid and I still take them.
Yeah, she's got lots of rocks.
Good. Also, as I was looking, I was trying to find my favorite guns, and I do have two favorites.
Ooh, okay.
The bottom left hand, the one that looks like a shotgun.
Oh,
no, actually more of like
the
a rifle.
Long, skinny. Yeah, it does.
And then the fancy curvy one at the very second from the bottom right, the little fancy pistol.
Yeah.
Anywho's it. So this is what the artist had to say about this piece, because he was very much inspired by nature. Everything is different in nature and yet the same again. Everything is simple and yet complex. Everything is known and very unknown. So it's just kind of like
so true.
Not repurposing, but finding something in something that isn't that thing.
Yeah. Yeah. I get exactly what you mean. Yeah. That's so cool. Yeah. It's so simple, but it's very cool.
Yeah.
I appreciate that news. Thanks, Toya. So for my next bit, I've got a few updates. So a while back, we talked about the Wayfarers Chapel getting dismantled in Palos Verdes because of land movement issues, and they wanted to conserve it. Yeah, they weren't kidding. Like, there's 250 more feet of beach in the last month than there was before. And here's a little picture I took from the article I was reading about it. There's some major land movement. I was looking at a map. It was really cool because it had kind of like a weather map where the darker colors, but it was for more movement. And they have areas that are moving up to 14 inches a week.
What?
Imagine if half of your house just decided to shift a foot.
Ooh.
Yeah. So it's a good thing that they dismantled it and got on it as quick as they did, because it could have gone tumbling off the cliffside
gracious.
At this point.
And with all these earthquakes we've been having lately.
Yeah. So there's a lot of movement. People are losing power, gas in their homes. Like, it sucks. It's very unfortunate. I'm glad that they were able to preserve the piece of history, but I do feel bad for everybody else who's just the normal, regular, schmegular person. Hopefully you have good insurance.
Yeah. No, that sucks.
Yeah, it really does. But New Beach, all the surfers are like, yeah, it's like different every day. It's crazy because they're there all the time. So they know what it looks like. And in addition to that, we have a little update on our Sadako Sasaki statue that was beheaded in Seattle. They had a huge gathering at the park, and the community is in mourning not only at the loss of the statue, but what feels to some like attack against what it represents, the audacity of hope that we can have a peaceful world.
True.
So a lot of different groups got together and they made a bajillion paper cranes, and they had musicians. They had, it was a whole like festival thing to celebrate a lot of Japanese American groups and clubs and stuff. And I thought that was cool, but also, why you got to take the head of the statue? Why you got to do that?
You know, it's cool that it brings people together. It's interesting how stuff like that brings people together.
Yeah.
It sucks, you know.
Yeah.
But then, like,
why we have to do bad things to get good humanity?
Right? Yeah. It's weird.
Yeah.
Earth.
Humans. But yeah, that's some art for us today. And then I'm going to tell you a little bit about my rabbit hole journey for this particular episode. So I had an artist, and I was like, I want to spotlight this artist. Now I got to figure out something to connect it to. So I start researching, and I find a couple, and I'm like, okay, this guy, I'm going to do this guy. And I start going in. Turns out the few images I was looking at were the only ones that exist, because most of his stuff got burnt up during the Spanish War. So there isn't a lot. And the Wikipedia page is like that big. And I'm like, if Wikipedia doesn't have anything, then I'm really going to struggle. So maybe we'll have to pivot a little bit.
Okay.
So what we have is a rundown of this particular style that has popped up throughout the years. And it's called Trompe-l'œil.
Trompe-l'œil.
Trompe-l'œil, according to the Googles, because I had to figure out how to pronounce it because it's very confusing. But it means deceives the eye. And it is essentially things that are made to look three-dimensional on a two-dimensional space.
Wait. Oh, wait. You've been in my head. I literally was going to do an episode about art and illusions or whatever. And this is like, essentially what you're talking about. I mean, it's fine.
I have a feeling what you will come up with will still be very different. So I still encourage it. This goes back a ways. I have just some examples from different artists. Ooh. We've got this one where it's like a pin board and it's got all the little tchotchkes.
It's like you can grab it.
Yeah.
The way everything's placed.
It's so good. It's the shadows and the overlapping. It's so like purposeful. It looks so good.
It looks super 3D.
I love the pearls.
Yeah.
Especially because like part of the strand goes back behind.
I can see that.
Oh, that's so cool.
Very 3D for its time.
Right. Very 3D.
Yeah, in fact, that pendant looks...
The cameo, yeah.
Oh, that's crazy.
Yeah. And the little like sewing scissors.
Yeah.
I'm sure the items have some sort of meaning or did maybe represent something.
Something that this person did.
I mean, there's lots of ribbons, so like things you would decorate your hair with or tie around your neck. Is that a medal? Somebody win an Olympic medal? What's happening? It's cool, regardless. Yeah. And I love the pop of red from the straps.
Yeah.
And then, so this is the one I was gonna do. Because look at this thing.
Yeah, that's really popping out.
That is so good.
So the frame is not real.
Right.
That's crazy. That's crazy.
Right? Imagine like back in the day with all these gilded frames, whenever you would see art. And then this is just, it literally looks like the guy's climbing through the wall.
That's really cool.
It's so cool. It's so cool.
So, do you know by chance if like the people were feeling this at the time?
This is his most popular work. This is like the thing that put him on the map. Okay. And apparently he was a very prevalent artist. He did a lot of work, but unfortunately most of it did not survive. Okay. This is another little one that's kind of breaking the fourth wall. They're looking right at the viewer, and that's that little shadow, the elbow. Yeah. It's everything.
I think it's interesting because we went from like when you go through art history, we're like la 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 la, and then there's like the whole fourth wall thing, and people like kind of got a little creeped out by it.
Yeah,
you know? But we were gonna do it. I don't know.
It was bound to happen, right? Like we're gonna think outside the box.
Yeah, literally
the whole canvas box. So, I got a Rembrandt example here. Ooh. It's so subtle. It's like barely anything. It's just that extra little bit at the bottom.
I didn't even notice her fingers. I was so busy looking at the texture of the dress and like the garb. I was like, ooh, nice.
It is a beautiful piece, but like it's just a little bit.
The fingers are so good, but it's Rembrandt, so like.
Yeah, Rembrandt. good on you, Rembrandt. Yeah. You done good.
Even it's the frame, impressive. Like the fake frame.
Yeah, so I think this is actually a real frame, and then you can see it's darker. Like close to the painting. And then I think this is just extra where the hands are. It's painted as if it's more frame.
Oh, whoa. That's crazy.
Whoa. That's so smart. And I can imagine like at the time, nobody was going to do stuff like that. And even in these small instances where an artist did, I think they probably all arrived at this relatively separately. There may have been some crossover or influence, but you have to think the world was very small back then. There was not the internet. There was not, international news sources and stuff. So it was things were happening in pockets.
Yeah.
And to stumble across that. And you're like, it's probably so crazy that you do it once, maybe twice.
Yeah,
and you're
right?
like, all right. That's good. We're good.
Imagine seeing this though back in the day, like, and you can't tell your friends because you don't have a text message, you know? You're like, oh my God, I saw this thing, and they just gotta believe it.
Yeah, right. You can't send them the meme.
Yeah.
It's like, Pixar, it didn't happen. Well,
Yeah, right.
here we have one by a Swiss painter, and it's like a partial portrait. And I love this because the wood is not real.
I was just about to
It is
ask
part
that.
of the painting. Like she's behind a cabinet door or something.
I don't even got words.
Right.
I don't even shadowing. Like
I
that drop shadow.
know. I know.
That's crazy. Anyway, that's all I got to
It's
say
nuts.
about it.
And the texture of that wood,
Dude.
the little like burn
Yeah,
spot.
Even
It's
the
so
little
good.
burn spot is so good.
And
I
it
thought
has
this was
that
real.
like orangey tone that the wood would have. Like, oh my gosh.
You know
it's
what?
So good.
Remember when we did that episode and I was like, we're going to play a game to see what is AI or not.
Yeah.
I feel like this is now happening to me. And I'm thinking like, I can spot AI, but I can't spot like,
Whether it's painted or it's
Yeah.
a mixed material. Yeah. I mean, it looks like it could, just the edge, the little bit of edge where it lightens up because it's been worn. So it's so good. Here we have a slightly more modern one from
I like it,
Bruno
though. I like it.
Logan. The apples are just juicy.
it's got
So juicy.
the nail bent or the.
Yes. Yeah. Like it hit something and got the
Yeah.
little, And I just love that it's the box, the inside of the box.
Yeah, like look at the edges.
Yeah. This cardboard situation happening is very impressive. And all the shadowing, and you can still see like the lines for the corrugation.
Mm-hmm.
Ugh. And
This
these
is
like
amazing.
little tiny bits that kind of come off the side.
Yeah.
Oh man, it's beautiful. It's so beautiful. I feel like those are probably Honeycrisp or maybe Cosmic Crisp. Cosmic
Did they
Crisp
have
has those
Honeycrisp
kind
back
of
then?
Hey, this is 2015,
Oh,
so
then yeah. I'm sorry.
probably.
It literally says it.
Yeah. That's the only reason I know. It's a more modern one, but it's beautiful.
Yes.
And then we have another classic artist, Jan van Eyck. They're not sculptures. They're
I
not.
was just about to ask, like, is this a painting or is this sculptures? Because at first I thought they were sculptures
They could be. They look so dang good. Right? I know. It's like this wing shadow is everything.
It's like, what am I doing with my life?
I know. We're slacking, Toya. We are super slacking. You've said it before, but humans are insane. The things we come up with,
This is true.
I can't even.
No, I cannot. Oh,
And then we got this little
is
guy
nice. Yeah,
peeking through the leaded glass.
I like it. It's a little creepy, but I like
It's a little creepy. It's kind of got some voyeur vibes, but you know. Imagine though, I mean, my grandpa, we had a huge like bay window in my grandma's house. And when I lived there, the curtains were mostly closed. But I heard stories all the time of how my grandpa would just watch outside in the neighborhood all the time. All the kids knew him. And like, so I can imagine that was probably when neighborhoods were more neighborhoody and people talked to each other.
Yes.
You know? Basically the opposite of COVID life.
Back in the day.
Yeah, that's totally checks out. That'd be a thing that happens.
Super normal.
Making faces to the kid inside. And then we even got some Frida Kahlo. And this one kind of shifts a little bit. So rather than the frame being painted on, I think it's an actual frame, possibly,
I think
Maybe.
quote,
that has been painted.
yeah, I can see that. Like that bottom portion where the writing is part of the canvas or the painting.
Yeah.
And then there's the frame. I think.
Yes, I think so too. I think the frame has been painted to meet
Yeah.
this texture and then this puddle situation. Dip dyed.
Makes sense because the bottom portion is like a different brown. It's like a yellowy
Yeah,
than the ground.
right.
Yeah.
And I know other artists painted frames. Like I know Camille Pissarro would paint frames in the complementary colors, which was really kind of unheard of because, again, everything was wood or gold frames for eons. But yeah.
Dude, that's wild. I can't believe us as humans.
Right. And this is all different parts of the world. These people are coming from Dutch painters, Spanish painters, I mean, Mexican painters, everything. And everybody's kind of experienced or experimented a little bit.
It's kind of like how there's dragons all over the world, but it's kind of like that whole thing.
Yes, it is like that. Yeah, exactly. I mean, like, come on. How does every culture have a dragon?
Yeah.
And yet you tell me they're not real? Psh,
Exactly.
lies. But since we're doing some catch up in today's episode with our news and kind of going through some stuff, I also wanted to circle back while we talk about Purple Easel a little bit.
That's where we work.
That's where we work. That's where we are. And I mentioned last time when we were discussing rainbows how I was like, I'm going to take this to Reddit.
And you did.
I did. And I got one response.
Yay!
But it was a really good response. So I'm so happy and I'm going to share it with y'all now. So hats off to Flora Explora. And she says, hey, my window of knowledge and area of interest is probably even narrower than what you are asking. But at least in the U.S. Southwest, Santeros, our icon makers, were using their own natural pigments through World War II in a lot of places, meaning there just wasn't a huge range of colors available. And then goes on to kind of give us a shout out on our Lisa Frank deep dive, but also sent some little examples. So this is a tiny icon from a local teacher who makes his own paints. And you can see it's a pretty muted color palette.
Yeah.
Versus kind of the more modern celebration of acrylics. And these are all religious icons.
I love the alien.
I know. I know. It's probably somebody in New Mexico, right? Like she said Southwest. So, I mean, that checks out. And I love the interaction, first of all.
And that was detailed.
It was great.
Very specific and like informative in the fact that like I didn't know
what a Santero was.
Yeah.
And that there still exists and people who do this all the time. So cool. Now we know. And I did suspect that rainbows didn't really make an appearance just because of availability of pigments and technique and tools to make realistic rainbows.
Yeah, me and Ian had this discussion as well because I made him watch the Lisa Frank episode.
Good, as you should.
And yeah, he thought that it was two things. One is the color, like not like blue, like certain colors, like purple,
availability,
exactly.
Yeah.
That, and it wasn't probably just in the consciousness of the people at the time to really think about stuff like that. Because I was talking about Gustave Moreau and the Jupiter and Simile painting. I think it's Jupiter and Simile. That would be a great opportunity to have like rainbows or something.
Yeah.
But, like, no. So yeah, I don't think it was just not in our thoughts, I think, maybe. And the colors.
Well, it is now. Thanks, Lisa Frank.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you also.
So do us a solid and continue to interact. Give us the comments, the likes, subscribe. We totally
we appreciate those.
We love it. It's a very exciting moment for our little group when we get some feedback. So
and we'll shout you out as well. So.
Yeah. So thank you so much for my one Redditor responding to the call.
I'm glad.
I didn't expect anything, honestly. And it was so detailed and like in depth.
It wasn't just like, oh, this is my opinion. Like there was pictures and facts to back up that claim. So like
it was great.
Yeah.
Love it. And now
some more artists.
We're gonna shift to today's artist, Andrew Scott, who's doing some really fun things.
Shadow Self. Oh, wait, no.
Yeah, so this one is suspended. And we got the shadow just kind of falling off the edge.
I like this.
So good.
Like
why? But does it matter?
It's giving me kind of like depression vibes.
Yeah.
But like when you get those little literatures and it says depression, like
Yeah, right. A pamphlet.
Yeah.
You may have depression if.
not in a bad way, but like that's how I'm reading it.
And it could be. I mean, he's solo. He's going on a sidewalk to nowhere.
Falling off the cliff. But
falling
not
off
really.
the edge or about to fall off the edge. Feels like he's going to fall off the edge because his shadow is already falling. So does he stop? Does he turn around? Does he keep going? Like,
It's going to happen. You decide.
decide life. And then we have shadows.
I love these, by the way. I really like anything that has I can't speak today. Anything that makes you think, that has like a double meaning and it's art related. I'm like, ooh, yes.
Yes.
Especially when it's like deeper topics like emotions.
Yeah. I love this one. I don't really know what meaning I want to take from it. And I think that's why I love it so much.
Yeah.
It's a little bit ambiguous, but it's saying something.
Yeah.
And it's something impactful. I just can't put my finger on it.
Agree. That's how I feel about it.
And then we start having some fun with frames. We have the grape thief. And this is just like probably a found frame somewhere, right? And he made the art to go with it. And how cute is that?
That's a really cool frame.
Right? It's a very cool frame. I was reading about Nate Berkus and Jeremiah Brent are both some designers that they've had several shows, but Nate Berkus apparently has a very large frame collection, just little frames that people give him, antique frames. He loves them. That's how he displays all their like family portraits and stuff. It's a thing. Frames are cool, man. Especially when you utilize them.
Oh. Very nice. That very clever.
Very clever, right? And there's videos and you can see the process, like has this nice picture and then takes a nail and a hammer just right on the glass.
That's cool.
Yeah. And you kind of, it's a little bit unpredictable.
I like
it just
that
comes
because
together.
It's breaking the fourth wall again.
It is. It totally
in a different
is.
way. Nice. This
goes even farther.
yes.
Making custom frames now. Right?
Wow.
Like, why is this so good?
This is very good. I like this a lot.
The actual rendering is good. It's clean. It's crisp. It's got lots of highlights and shadows, but it's nothing like, whoa. It's the fact that it's with the frame.
Yeah, that's
creating a piece of work outside of itself.
Yeah.
Is what makes it so intriguing.
I think it would be more lost maybe if it was more like
I agree. I like that there's so much kind of empty space happening. You don't need all that.
Yeah.
I just talked to my kid recently. She has taken up pausing the TV and then drawing what she sees. So she did this really great scene of Bluey with a hose and it was all wound up and all this stuff. And I'm like, dang, where'd you come from? Like,
where do you get
this is the first time she's really like observed something and copied it. And she got in trouble, as she does, and she lost TV privileges. And I was like, well, just go draw or something. She loves drawing. Oh, I can't because I don't have the TV. I'm like, honey, still lifes have been a thing since the beginning of time. Just find a group of things on the table and draw it.
I was going to say magazine, but we don't even have magazines much.
Well, I did have her get out a coloring book and like, rather than coloring it in, she could just, and it was all line work. So it was a little easier for her too. But yeah, she had the same lesson that sometimes you don't need to put all these extra things. I took her outside and I took a scrap of paper. I was like, okay, look at this plant, my poor plumeria plant. I've had like 5 or 6 plumerias in my lifetime, and this is the only survivor.
Oh my gosh. I'm so sorry.
I'm not good with plants. So
I want to be, but I'm not.
I love plumerias. I love them. And my dad and my husband will be like, see a trick color one and like, hey, I brought you a plumeria plant. I'm like, cool. Add it to the graveyard. But I'm showing her this plant. I was like, okay, if we're going to draw this plant, what do we actually have to have? Well, the plant. Okay, what else? Oh, the pot. Okay. The chair. Okay. What about the bush behind it? I don't know. Do you need the bush behind it? And so like I sketch it out for her. And I was like, you can ignore all this other stuff.
Yeah.
You don't have to copy every detail. Just copy Bluey if you want.
Okay.
So it was an important lesson for her. And this guy is on top of it.
Oh, yeah. I see what
'Cause
you're saying.
Look at this. Look at this. Come on.
I feel like I'm being punched.
I love how the cracks just go straight across his face.
Yeah. Yeah. It's like drawing the action lines without drawing them. It's just
Yeah.
the glass.
It's just the glass and it's creating the shadow and everything.
That's really cool.
Stunning.
But it's giving Banksy a little bit.
It is. It's got that like intellectual aspect and how Banksy finds things that fit with the surroundings.
Yeah.
And he's just making things make sense on another level. I just love it. And the composition's actually really interesting too, because you have a third of the frame kind of, and then he's centered on the other part, which is also a third of the overall thing. So it's very well thought out.
Nice.
And it's
It's
just
so
shoes,
deep, right?
but
Exactly.
it's just the
Why
laces
am I
going
looking
over the frame. Like,
That's
I think
so
they're real
clever.
laces and he fed them through.
Just like that, like boom, masterpiece.
Right? So good. It's so good. Here we got
You said burnt?
Molotov cocktail,
Molotov
right? Yeah.
cocktail, yeah.
Yeah, so he's burnt.
Oh, okay,
little
gotcha. Oh, nice.
Super cool. Lots of empty space again, but it allows you to have room for this action that's taking place.
It's kind of like a modern take on Banksy's.
Yes, it is very similar. And I love the work. I think he's doing incredible things and really utilizing the frame. And we've talked about how framing is so important for
It really
your work.
bumps up. Like if you think that your piece is nice, wait till you get a frame on it.
Great to frame it.
Yeah.
Yeah, we encourage people here to get frames all the time because it really just makes it. It turns what has happened here into a memorable experience because you can take that home with you and say, I painted that, you know? And for a lot of people, that's a big deal because they don't paint.
Yeah. And I feel like it makes like when people get frames here, they feel like it's sellable. I don't know.
Yes.
It adds like an extra like I could sell this.
Right. I mean, like think about some of the most basic drawings and how you frame them could make or break you. So for today's discussion, really has nothing to do with anything. But as we've wrapped up the Olympics, I was thinking about all these athletes and all the shenanigans that happen in the Olympic Village. And me and my husband are like, well, yeah, why wouldn't you? You're at the peak of your physical perfection, basically, and you're surrounded by people who are equally attractive. And, you know, I'm not surprised things go down.
No, I remember, was it China? I can't remember which one it was, but there was one where like they're running out of condoms and it was like all this like condom store.
Yes.
So I'm like,
So apparently in Paris, they did not have that problem. There were like buckets of condoms basically everywhere. But the question is it better to have a partner who supports and appreciates what you do, but takes zero interest in it? Like knows nothing about your sport or your hobby or your career? Or would you rather have a partner who dabbles in the things that you're into, but is not very good? And so it's hard for you to enjoy doing it together because there's this huge disparity.
you know, I thought about my own life and I'd say that I'm actually in a relationship with my fiance and with both of those things.
Yeah.
So take astrology, for instance. I am the wizard. I've been reading astrology before the internet. Blah, 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 blah. We already know this. Blah, blah, blah. He knows nothing, obviously. He likes that I take interest in something he has no interest in. And And then there's things that like I'll dabble in that he is an expert on, and I can understand. Like there is, so I'm in the situation with both of those.
Right.
I'm not sure which would be like the better option.
And maybe there's not. But I'm like, if it's my kid's always doing the okay, would you rather? So I was kind of in that mode, but. It was interesting to me because I think about the fact that, you know, Lee and I have started this bowling thing because that was something he used to do with his dad. And it was something that we could do as a couple now that we're married. Boring couple things, bowling leagues. I guess this is what we aspire to. But we have so much fun and it's our time without the kid. And we've never had that before, like something set aside for the two of us. We would occasionally go on a dinner date or something if Grandpa was going to watch her or whatever, but it was never something regular. So I love that we have that and we share that. I'm not very good. And he's so supportive. And he, even when I have a good night, he's like telling me I'm the best ever. And I'm like, whoa. And it's gotten to the point, like if I start getting strikes that he just stops talking to me because he knows if he mentions it or acknowledges it, I'm gonna tank. Like I'm not there for the mental game. I'm not good at that. But then we also have things like he is so into baseball.
Yeah. Oh, no interest in baseball.
I like going to the games. It's fun. Don't care. Yeah. He knows who's traded who and who's building a team and who's on the bench and like all the different teams. And that's been one of his jokes for going bowling too, is he wears a different jersey every single week.
Okay.
He's got that many. Like he's nuts for baseball. And I'm just like,
okay. There you go. Go team.
But I read and he doesn't read. He plays some video games. I also play some video games. But like we have things that we respect that the other person does and it's cool. But then we have things that we try to do together. And he is a bit of an artist, but he doesn't pursue it.
I was just about to ask you. So how do you feel about like, well, you're married, but.
Yeah. I got over it, right?
But like, you know how there's, I don't know, like let's say this person's a chef and this person's a chef, but they are like, oh, I would like never date another chef.
Yeah. Oop, time to pick up Talia.
She's like, Mom.
No. Dad's on it.
But like, so I don't know how, because Ian, he's like, I never wanted to date like another artist. And I was always kind of like, I don't think like I date another artist. But our art is so vastly different.
Yeah.
And we're creative in completely different ways to where like it makes sense.
It really doesn't matter. Yeah.
But I don't know how you feel about like artist dating artist or like chef. Like, is it too similar?
I don't know. It could be a rivalry situation. Like you have to have your ego in a pretty good place, I think, if you're going to marry somebody who does the same line of work as you.
Oh yeah. Cause Ian's the goat to me. Like,
right.
I look at him like, wow, I will never be as good as you. And I'm not saying I'm trash because I don't think I'm trash.
It's just you're so different.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that's okay.
A classic artist.
Yeah.
He's a muralist. Like,
yeah, Lee started to do some Inktober with me at one point, and he was getting some good traction, and then he just kind of didn't keep up with it and died off. And he went to like an art high school in Vegas, and I'm like so jealous. Like they did all kinds of crazy stuff.
Cool.
Yeah, I know, right? But yeah, I mean, it's something he appreciates, and I can ask him questions or show him things, and he'll be like, oh, okay. And like, he'll have a level of understanding about it. He's just not as deep as I am.
Okay.
So I think it works for us.
Yeah.
But I'd be interested to know, like, are there any artists with other artists out there? And like, what is that dynamic like? Or athletes with other athletes? Because this whole thing spawned from the Olympics. So, I mean, these are deep questions. Would you rather?
I think like Simone is with a basketball.
Yes.
Yeah. So they're both.
But he knows nothing about gymnastics, but he's there to cheer her on and support her and all that stuff, obviously. So, but I wonder, like they show these clips of the parents, right? I can't tell what's going on when they're bouncing around on the mat, like how many revelations they're getting or what they're over rotated or whatever. Like it all looks the same to me. I'm like, oh, that's cool. That's it. But I gotta wonder like how many people in the stands are like, oh nope, she missed it. She missed it. She only did a double instead of triple. And I'm just like,
that's so true. I think that goes for anything, whether you're a cook, a
Yeah.
dancer, an artist, like other people in that same. So like my dance teacher, for instance, she's like, so when she teaches us, it's so different than when she performs, because when she performs, she's like, no one cares about if I did things correctly. They just want to see me dance.
Yeah.
But when I'm teaching, you have to do it this way because you will be critiqued and da-da-da-da. But
You got to learn the correct
Yeah,
way.
you got to learn correctly, but.
You got to learn the rules before you can break them.
Yeah.
And we definitely broke some rules with today's art.
Oh, that's good.
So much rule breaking.
Sometimes art is about pushing the fourth wall, pushing the boundaries.
Thinking outside the box
Exactly.
or the frame as it be.
Yep.
But I think that pretty much wraps up our awesome episode.
Oh, right. And thank you for the discussion question. I really
Yeah, I know it was kind of
liked it.
off the charts about nothing really, but
Sometimes that's good though.
yeah, we need that every once in a while.
So make sure to visit purpleeaselplus.com to paint with the world's largest paint and sip studio. Don't forget to do that.
And then if you're in Southern California, you can swing on by and paint with us. In the meantime, create more and create often.
Bye.